Today, talking about how I time carbs and my protein intake, and how I've gotten to a pretty lean physique, and it's worked really, really well for me to maintain muscle mass and reduce the amount of body fat. And got a DEXA scan about back in November. Was 10% body fat and 190 pounds of lean muscle mass. So that's pretty good. Extremely good bone density, which are all things that you want as we age. Is a good amount of muscle mass, a decently low amount of adipose tissue, and then a high level of bone density to help with prevention of injury or breaking a hip or sitting in a chair for 15 years. Anyways, the one of the most advantageous things for me that I've found was timing my carbohydrates, because in my protein video, I talk about how insulin spikes inhibit the ability for hormone sensitive lipase, which is an enzyme that helps with fat oxidation or lipolysis. When you increase your insulin, it then inhibits this. And if you have a constant feeding state that is always storing energy into the cells, it's more challenging to reduce fat. And in any case, if you reduce the amount of caloric intake and increase the amount of energy expenditure, you're going to lose weight no matter, shouldn't say no matter, but you're going to lose weight even if you eat carbohydrates or certain things. That's why you see like CrossFit athletes or whatever, high rocks people, they increase their amount of calories and increase their amount of carbohydrates, because carbohydrates help with the recovery via moving glycogen into the muscle. But for the average Joe, I'm not doing a insane amount of activity like that. I recently had a surgery, so I decreased the amount of activity that I did, and therefore wanted to figure out how to maintain a lean muscle mass. And this has been the best method for me. So I try to eat primarily protein. The main things I eat are Greek yogurt, grass-fed beef, eggs, and not a whole lot else. But the carbohydrate restriction that I do just to reduce the amount of adipose tissue is around 50 grams of carbohydrates per day. And I time the majority of them primarily around after my workout or my most physically active part of the day. So 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrate via a tablespoon of honey or some fruit. A tablespoon of honey is about 16 grams of carbs. You get glucose and fructose in that honey, and I put it into my Greek bowl. The Greek yogurt itself has casein and a small amount of whey protein. So you spike your insulin, then that protein can immediately go and get shuttled as energy into the cells as needed as amino acids to then create the cascade of muscle protein synthesis and build back the collagen matrix that amino acids all play a role in. Check out the protein video for more in depth. But essentially, that's when I do my carbohydrates, and the rest of the day is fairly low carbohydrate intake to really no purposeful carbs. Like if I drink some milk, there's going to be some lactose, which is a carb, a sugar. If I have, there's some amount in full fat Greek yogurt and some different dairy products, but primarily the carbohydrates that I take in are after a workout, because I get the advantage of shuttling glucose into the muscle for glycolysis, and then I also get a enhanced recovery. Also, insulin plays a role in the reduction of sex hormone binding globulin, releasing up more free testosterone for utilization in the cellular level. So you're not getting a complete ketosis, but you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, where you are utilizing some, you're going into a workout in a technically unfed state because you're not spiking insulin, eating a bunch of carbs before your workout, therefore allowing for fat oxidation during the workout, and your liver is expending the glucose that's in there because you are utilizing the adipose tissue storage, fat cell storage for energy, and then you're not inhibiting it via hormone sensitive lipase. So for me, it's worked very well. And I'm going to do another DEXA to see if I've gotten less than the 10% body fat, which is a pretty significantly low number already, but it's kind of cool to see how all those things work. And being post surgery, I've significantly reduced the amount of activity I could do, and I've still maintained very good muscle mass and even increased my weight from around 215 to now I'm around 225. Building muscle back, a lot of that was could only do legs for pretty much the last several months. So the timing of carbohydrates has really worked for me. And for someone that is trying to reduce the amount of adipose tissue, lean out while not losing lean muscle mass, this has been advantageous because you can eat a few eggs or Greek yogurt before you go to the gym. Therefore, you have amino acids for muscle protein synthesis. I also train fasted on lesser intensity days, so that's helpful as well. But to say that we need carbs all the time probably is better stated, where carbs need to be utilized at certain times and certain methods, but shouldn't be the primary source of energy all the time, especially if we have excess adipose tissue, because that can lead to visceral fat, which is fat around the organs, which is even more deleterious to health. So for me, it's worked really well. Give it a try. Let me know how it works and eat more protein.